oil pressure sensor or switch is responsible for sensing engine oil pressure readings and sending that information to the computer, gauge on the dash, or both, depending on the system's configuration. While the operation of an oil pressure sensor or switch may differ, their goal is the same: to supply the computer or the driver of the vehicle the status of the oil pressure within the engine. An oil pressure switch functions as a simple go, no-go device. When adequate pressure is applied, the switch will either open or close, depending on the circuit's design. The computer or gauge doesn't know the exact pressure with a switch, just that it's exceeded the minimum pressure to trip the switch, and this will cause the indicator light to illuminate. An oil pressure sensor can tell the exact oil pressure within the engine, resulting in more accurate monitoring. A vehicle with an oil pressure sensor may have a gauge on the dash that will increase and decrease its pressure reading when the engine's RPM changes. Typically, the higher the RPM, the higher the oil pressure. Anytime the engine is running, the oil pressure sensor or switch has oil pressure applied to it. Because of this, a leak can have detrimental effects on the engine. Like so many engine sensors or switches, heat and vibration are the leading causes of failure. The sensor or switch may stop working or reporting properly, or in some cases, may begin to leak. If the connector is full of oil, the sensor has failed, and it should be replaced with a new oil pressure sensor or switch. WVE vehicle electronics oil pressure sensors and switches come with a sealing O-ring or thread sealer pre-applied where applicable to prevent leaks when installing a new sensor or switch. Additionally, many oil pressure sensors or switches use a type of thread called National Pipe Thread, or NPT, which means the housing and threads are tapered, smaller at the bottom and wider near the sensor or switch. Torque is critical when installing a new sensor or switch. If installed too close, it can lead to leaks, while too tight can cause the mounting flange to crack, also resulting in a leak and permanent damage to the mounted housing. Both can lead to catastrophic engine failure due to oil leakage. Since playing such a critical role in monitoring the engine oil, WVE vehicle electronics oil pressure sensors and switches are end-of-line tested right during manufacturing to ensure proper sealing and sensor or switch functionality. With a legacy of innovation that can be traced to the earliest days of the automobile, WVE has been committed to the design, engineering, manufacturing, testing, and support of world-class products since 1903. As a complete engine management and vehicle electronics provider, you can trust WVE vehicle electronics to deliver professional-grade, reliable, and proven parts.